KNICKS are Eastern Conference Finals bound for the first time in 25 years after knocking off the reigning champion Celtics here in Game 6 at Madison Square Garden. Ian Begley joins me to discuss. Ian, this was a 38-point win for the Knicks, their largest playoff win in franchise history, and they looked like a completely different team out of the gate than they did in Game 5.
Yeah, and it started really, Nikki, on Thursday when the guys were watching film of Game 5, looking at the mistakes, transition defense, looking at things they could clean up. OG Anunoby said there was a group film session with Tom Thibodeau and also players watching things individually, sharing tidbits that they saw in Game 5, ways that they could come out stronger, ways they could clean up those defensive mistakes. And Anunoby said that was really the catalyst, just seeing what happened in Game 5, not wanting to repeat that.
Yeah, Josh Hart said they were disgusted when they watched that film. Karl-Anthony Towns was also a big part of this win. 21 points, 12 rebounds. What was different about him from the game in Boston versus this game at home?
Yeah, I thought he got the ball early and he operated really well against that smaller defender. He was incredibly effective, and when he gets going early, I think it sets a different tone. Tom Thibodeau said that Towns set the tone early, and it was the rebounding too. Not just the shooting from Towns, not just the offense. It was the rebounding that I think gave the team life early on in this game.
Yeah, the entire starting five finished in double figures in scoring. This was their most complete win of the season, or definitely in the playoffs. Let's talk about this group as a whole. This was a team that was doubted in the playoffs. People said, oh, if they get past the Pistons, there's no way they get past the Celtics. Now here they are going to the Eastern Conference Finals. Why was this group able to do this, and do they think it's surprising, or are the fans just the ones surprised?
Yeah, I think it's just us on the outside, right? I was saying all year I didn't think they could beat Boston, but once they got into this series and they saw the Celtics on the floor, even with Jason Tatum healthy, there was a confidence in there coming out of Game 1. It was among the players, and I talked to somebody else who's around the team a lot after that game, and they said, look, we think we have a really good shot here. Yes, of course, they're Celtics, but we think that we can really play with this team, and that proved to be correct. Obviously, the Tatum injury impacts things in Game 6, but Knicks really having the offense, it was the rebounding that I think gave the team life early on in this game.
Yeah, the entire starting five finished in double figures.
The New York Knicks are officially heading to the Eastern Conference Finals for the first time in a quarter of a century. A momentous milestone that not only rewrites recent franchise history, but also reignites the passion of a fan base long starved of deep playoff success. In what can only be described as a statement victory, the Knicks dismantled the reigning champion Boston Celtics with commanding 38-point win in Game 6 at Madison Square Garden, marking the largest playoff margin of victory in the storied history of the franchise. It was a night when everything clicked, when the intensity of the Garden matched the ferocity on the floor, and when the Knicks looked every bit like a team not just surviving the postseason, but thriving in it. What stood out immediately was a contrast in demeanor and execution from Game 5. The turnaround didn't begin when the ball was tipped, but rather days before, during an intense film session that redefined the team's focus. According to forward OG Anunoby, the team gathered under the direction of head coach Tom Thibodeau to dissect the painful mistakes of their previous performance. The emphasis was clear: transition defense, communication, and mental discipline. Players didn't just passively absorb coaching input. They actively contributed, analyzing their own lapses and offering insight to one another. It was in those moments of accountability, Anunoby explained, that the foundation for game access dominance was truly laid. Josh Hart went a step further, revealing that the locker room felt disgusted by their showing in Boston. That frustration became fuel, and it burned with an intensity that engulfed the Celtics from the opening tip. At the heart of this resurgence was Karl-Anthony Towns, who delivered one of his most impactful playoff performances in a Knicks uniform. He poured in 21 points and grabbed 12 rebounds, setting the tone early with physicality, efficiency, and a relentless motor that Boston never matched. Unlike Game 5, where Towns was often neutralized and out of rhythm, this time he received touches early and capitalized, using his size and agility to exploit mismatches. Thibodeau praised not just the offensive production, but the way Towns controlled the glass, noting that his rebounding presence gave the team its initial burst of life. When your big man is controlling tempo, absorbing contact, and energizing the crowd with second-chance plays, it changes the psychological landscape of a playoff game. And that's precisely what Towns did. The Knicks' success, however, was not limited to individual brilliance. This was a collective masterpiece. All 5 starters finished in double figures, a testament to ball movement, unselfishness, and tactical execution at the highest level. It was, by every measure, the most complete performance of their playoff run. This is a team that has defied expectations from the start of the postseason. Critics dismissed them as mere passengers, assuming any success beyond a first-round escape would be a fluke. When they battled past Detroit, skepticism remained. But now, after sending home the defending champions, doubt has transformed into belief, at least inside the Knicks locker room. Outside observers may still be catching up, and that gap in perception is telling. Internally, confidence has been building. Even after Game 1 of the Boston series, when the Celtics were healthy and the scoreboard still close, whispers inside the organization suggested a belief that the Knicks not only belonged on the same floor, but could win the series outright. Players, coaches, and those close to the team felt something click, a recognition that despite Boston's star power and regular season dominance, New York had the blueprint to compete and the personnel to execute. The eventual injury to Jason Tatum certainly shifted the calculus in Game 6, but the truth is, the Knicks had been taking control of critical moments throughout the series. This wasn't a fluke. It was a team building momentum, confidence, and chemistry at the right time. This journey to the Eastern Conference Finals is not just about a single series win. It's about a franchise reclaiming its identity, a coach galvanizing his players, and a roster coalescing under pressure. For the first time in decades, the Knicks are no longer just a storyline. They're a contender. And as Madison Square Garden roared with a playoff energy unseen in a generation, it became clear that this team isn't finished rewriting history. They've only just begun.